Welcome to this episode of The Cargo Couch with Logicom Hub. My name is Sam Stretton. I'm a business owner and lifelong participant in all things cargo, from customs and excise, freight forwarding, and of course, now dangerous goods. This podcast aims to bring you the latest news, what's happening in the industry, and anything that's supply chain related. And of course, as we all know, during COVID, anybody working in logistics or supply chain was considered an essential worker. So it's really important for us to have a voice and talk about what's going on in our industry. So in today's episode, we are going to be speaking to Craig Lunn from CML Dangerous Goods Services Limited. So Craig, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, my name's Craig Lunn. I am primarily I'm a DG trainer at the minute, but I have a background in quite a few different aspects of dangerous goods. So originally I had a degree in chemistry. Yeah, I know. It was a bit difficult, but I got there in the end. And so after that, I kind of moved away from chemistry and worked at a bakery for a while. So if you want a good loaf of bread, I can probably do that for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Paul Hollywood, move over.
And then after about 4.5 years, I got kind of bored of making
Baking.
bread for a living. I decided, I'm going to use this degree. So I applied for pretty much any job that I could get that required a degree in chemistry, and that's how I ended up in the waste industry. So I worked primarily as a site acceptance chemist for Red Industries for a while. And so I would assess all the hazardous waste that came in, check whether it was what the customer said it was, and just send it off for various avenues of disposal, whether it be burn for energy, put for landfill, or just recycled.
Wow.
And then so they had an on-site lab there as well, so I did get a little bit of lab experience, which was kind of what I wanted to move into.
Yeah.
So eventually I did move away from the waste industry, and I moved into a lab working with a company called Lucidian.
Right.
You may have heard of them. They've got some colour standards that actually made it on the Mars rover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So quite a
So you were
successful
testing
company.
the chemicals or
So
combining chemicals?
primarily,
or?
I was an analytical chemist. I was a senior analytical chemist there, and we were using most of the machinery. The machinery I used more than anything was probably an ICP OES, which is
there's an acronym.
Yeah, that's an acronym and a
Okay.
half. So it's inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectroscopy.
Wow.
And it's a very,
I
very
couldn't even say
expensive
that.
and very impressive piece of kit. So that can measure concentrations of, let's say, heavy metals, for example, down to parts per billion.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So primarily, Lucidium was a pottery company. Because
Okay.
obviously I'm from Stoke. They're based in Stoke.
Yeah.
So they were testing potteries for various heavy metals from the paints.
Okay.
the,
So
the
when
glazes.
you layer the pottery with different, obviously, metals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so we
really
would break
interesting.
down those ceramics using various acid digestions.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd be using hydrofluoric acid, nitric acid,
Gosh.
hydrochloric acid.
I'm
pretty
assuming
much
you're
any acid
wearing
you
a
can think
mask
of.
and gloves. And
So
all
I
that.
never actually handled
Okay.
the hydrofluoric acid myself, because you need someone who was more senior to do that.
Okay.
But I was in the room,
Yeah. Very good.
and it was very scary.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
There's a
because
certain amount of risk factor going to work every day
Yeah,
with those types
so,
of chemicals.
So with it's actually because hydrofluoric acid is so dangerous, it eats through glass.
Oh.
So with the ICP OES machines that we were using, we actually had specialized plastic receptacles.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
essentially what it does is it aerosolizes the sample that you put through,
Yeah.
and then it goes through the like a flame, and then it kind of emits a color or a certain
right.
wavelength when it's burned off.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's how they tell what kind of chemicals you've got in there, and it's very, very
Interesting.
sensitive.
Yeah.
So usually the aerosolization chamber is made of glass,
Yeah.
but we have to use a very specially made plastic one for solutions with hydrofluoric acid in there.
Yeah.
Usually it's a very, very low concentration.
Yeah.
But if you do use glass, then your
Will it blow?
not necessarily, because the concentrations were very, very low.
Yeah.
But if you didn't use the plastic, you would get a lot of silicon in your
Oh,
results
right.
because it would break down the glass, and obviously you'd
Glass.
have a
Yeah.
massive spike for silicon.
Yeah. Okay. That kind of makes sense. Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to use your chemistry
yeah,
background.
yeah, yeah.
But
I was getting
actually,
into the stride
baking
of it.
is a
Yeah,
bit chemical
a
as
little
well
bit.
because
Yeah,
there's a yeast chemical reaction
yeah.
that kind of goes on, I
I was
guess.
thinking at one point in my career, I was thinking of maybe going into food chemistry.
Ah,
So while I was working there, um, a job opening for a food chemist,
wow.
and I applied for it, but I didn't get
Oh,
it.
oh, that's a shame.
That is a shame.
Yeah.
But it led me down this path.
Yes,
So yeah.
exactly.
So I only actually worked in that lab for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Then they decided they were moving sites, and I couldn't really afford the commute to a different place.
Right.
So I started applying for more jobs.
Yeah.
And then I saw an advert online for a safety data sheet author.
Right.
And I did safety data sheets from, I think it was November 2021 all the way up until the end of last month.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's
So about
actually
4.5
one
years.
of that's actually one of the topics that I wanted to talk to you about, actually, is safety data sheets, because it is I mean, for me, you understand it in a lot more detail than I do. And I'm guessing that comes from your chemistry background. But who uses safety data sheets and why are they important?
Okay, so pretty much any industry, any business that uses hazardous chemicals for any reason will need to have safety data sheets on file.
Yeah.
So they are very, very important. It's very, very important you have them compliant as well.
Yeah.
So the manufacturer is ultimately responsible for providing those safety data sheets because they are
Right.
manufacturing the products. They know
Exactly
all
what
the details.
chemicals have gone in. Yeah.
So there's section 9 of the safety data sheet. It's all about the physical and chemical properties.
Yeah.
So whether you've got a mixture or a substance, they'll list all the physical and chemical properties in section 9. And the manufacturer obviously will have
Yeah.
intimate knowledge of
Yeah.
what they should be putting in that area.
Is that actually? Let me just ask about that, because sometimes I've seen people don't want to reveal certain elements
Yeah.
that are in there for proprietary reasons. But
Yeah,
is it
so there are.
mandatory that they do that, or are they allowed to do that?
So I believe, I'm not an expert on this,
Yeah.
but I believe in the UK you can pay to do that.
Right.
All right. I believe in the USA,
Yeah.
so overseas, over the Atlantic or
Yeah.
Pacific, I can't remember which ocean it is. But in America, I believe it's free because they're a
Right.
very business orientated country.
Yeah.
So you can just say proprietary in your
Right.
description. You still need to give all the hazard information and all the safety information, but you can withhold the actual composition.
Yeah. That makes
I
sense.
believe in the UK and possibly the EU, you need to pay a fee to be able to do that, and someone needs to have knowledge of what is in there.
Yeah. Okay. So manufacturers must produce it. Who
Yeah.
else benefits from the safety data sheet?
Oh, who doesn't?
Right.
Pretty much everybody
Yeah.
down the downstream. Every user downstream has a right to request that safety data sheet.
Okay.
So even if you're buying a product off a shelf in Morrison's, for example,
Yeah.
or any other supermarket,
Yeah. Other supermarkets
other,
are available.
Other supermarkets
Yeah.
are available.
Yeah.
So let's say you buy a bottle of bleach off the shelf.
Yeah.
You notice on the back it's got sodium hypochlorite in there, which means that it's dangerous for transport, and
Right.
it is also hazardous to your health as well and the
Yeah.
environment.
Don't drink bleach, people.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah, you would be within your rights to look on the back of that bottle, ring up the manufacturer, and request the safety data sheet because they should have one on file for you to be
Right.
able to request.
Right. So even the general public
Even the general
should do
public,
it.
yeah.
So manufacturers need it. We need it for transporting, obviously, dangerous goods as
Yeah.
well. And of course, it's available to everybody. Is there anybody else that might use the safety data sheet?
Well, I don't know. I've already mentioned everybody, haven't I?
Have you? I was just thinking.
I did say
I
everyone.
yeah, you did say everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, and I guess if there was a spill in the warehouse, then
Oh yeah.
it may be
Oh, the
used for
emergency
like an
services, yeah.
emergency response, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the emergency services definitely. So
Yeah.
there are sections of the safety data sheet specifically geared towards the emergency services, what they need to do in the event of a spillage, a fire, any kind of accidental release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So, when did safety data sheets come into play, and kind of what drove the need for this document that we all need?
I don't know an exact date, but I know it was sometime around the beginning of the 20th century, when kind of the industrial revolution was going strong.
Yeah.
We're making lots and lots of different chemicals for industry, and then there was a need arising for manufacturers to create a document documenting the safety requirements that were needed for not only transporting the dangerous goods, but for use of them, for storage, for handling, for what you need to do in the event of emergency.
I'm guessing it started in a certain form and then is expanded.
Yeah, so
over the years.
there wasn't actually a regulated form back then, as you might imagine. But it has grown over the years to now like the standard 16 section format.
Yeah. That we would all recognise.
Yeah, you would all recognise it now.
Yeah.
Very, very specific 16 section format.
And I'm guessing, the EU played a heavy role in the design of the sections.
I can't remember the name of the regulation now. So I think it's the REACH regulations in the EU.
Yeah.
So everything is kind of based on the GHS for classification purposes.
Right.
And
this is GHS for
the
people that
globally
don't
harmonized
know.
system for classification.
Thank you.
So also along with that, you've got the REACH regulation as well. So that's kind of we've got two versions of that at the minute because of Brexit.
Okay.
So we've got the UK REACH.
Yes.
And the EU REACH. So we were members of the EU.
Yes, of course.
Up until I think it was 2021.
Yeah.
So we were under the EU REACH for a while, and then when we left the EU, we retained that, but we just changed a few words here and there and said this is now the UK REACH,
right?
Not the EU REACH. So what the REACH is basically the registration of chemicals. I can't remember the full acronym.
Yeah.
Registration. Authorization is one of them.
Yeah. RE.
Yeah. There's a few letters in there. I'm not exactly sure what they stand for.
It's called REACH.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the REACH kind of sets out the 16 section format. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it tells you what you should be putting in each section, essentially.
Oh, okay. So there's guidance on what's required. So we know it's a document that we all must use.
Yeah.
From manufacturer, probably even to the receiver of those goods, because you've got to store it correctly and protect yourself should anything go wrong. What are the implications of not having a correctly formed safety data sheet, or just not having a safety data sheet for a business?
Oh well, if let's say you have an internal audit, you've got the health and safety executive come around your business. They say, we're going to check you're compliant. If you don't have any safety data sheets for any of the hazardous chemicals that you have stored, you're in trouble, because you need to have them on record.
Yeah.
So for everything that you use, you need to have at least one copy of the safety data sheet, and it needs to be reproducible electronically as well for everybody downstream that you're passing that product on to.
So anyone you sell the product to, you've got to then pass that information on so that you're protecting everybody down the line. So really it's kind of governed by the health and safety executive. So and they would manage that.
Yeah, so the health and safety executive are in charge of safety data sheets in the not in the European Union, sorry, in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm guessing, so let's say they came to do an audit and I didn't have any safety data sheets. Would I, you said I would get into trouble, but what would be the extent of that?
I would imagine much the same as what you would do if you were caught transporting dangerous goods illegally. So probably fines, potential prison time, non-conformance, shutdown of the business maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so it's very important.
Yeah, so it's quite severe. So it's important that everybody has, I guess, a way to store those documents in their business.
So most businesses, so let's say you work in a lab, They'll
Yeah.
have a folder somewhere with all of their safety data sheets
Yeah.
for all the chemicals they have on site,
Yeah.
and that's usually so the site safety
Yeah.
officer or the lab manager
Or the
would
quality
have access
manager.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I actually, when I do dangerous goods audits, I do look at the cosh cupboard,
yeah,
and make sure the safety data sheets are there, and for any that are in, general storage as well, to make sure that they have those. Um, so obviously it's a really important document. What is Are there any misunderstandings with respect to safety data sheets and how they should be used, or the information that should go on there?
yeah. So I mentioned the REACH regulation, which goes over what you need to put in your safety data sheet in
Yeah.
the EU and the UK, for example.
Yeah.
But those kind of they are similar in different countries. However, the information that you must have on there can vary quite differently, uh, quite a lot.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so specific countries have their own way of dealing with hazards. So in the UK, we have something called the mandatory classifications.
Okay.
So it's a list of mandatory classifications that are the minimum classification that you can give specific substances that we know are very hazardous to health or the environment or
Okay.
property.
Yeah.
Uh,
And does that align with the global harmonized symbols, or
so
it's different to that?
So the globally harmonized system is just a way of determining if something is hazardous.
Yeah.
So it goes into the cutoff limits,
Yeah.
and if you're dealing with toxic substances, the LD50 cutoff values. So it is
Yeah.
kind of linked to the dangerous goods regulations as well.
Yeah.
So those kind of cutoff limits are there.
Yeah.
There is actually an extra tier above that. So
Okay.
you may be familiar with the toxic substances. We've got packing group 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that goes up to, I believe, 1,000 milligrams per kilogram if you're dealing with oral toxicity.
Yeah.
If you go any further than that, up to 5,000 milligrams per kilogram is actually another section
Okay.
that is not dangerous for transport. It is
But
harmful.
it's still toxic to a consumer,
Yes.
should they
So it
be
would be
silly enough
harmful
to
if
drink it?
swallowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be the statement that
Yeah.
you would put on your safety data sheet if you had that toxicity information.
Right. Okay.
So
That
they are
makes
linked.
sense. Yes.
Yeah. So with the mandatory classifications, that only applies to the UK.
Oh, right.
All right.
Okay.
So different
Not in
countries
the
actually.
EU?
No. So it is kind of linked to the EU
Yeah.
because we stole.
Right.
We stole the EU not mandatory classifications, the harmonised classifications for the
Right.
European Union. When
Okay.
we left in Brexit, we took that list with us. So
Cut
anything
and paste.
cut and paste, yeah, copy and paste. So anything that has been updated since we left the EU
Yeah.
in the European harmonised classifications has
do.
not been updated in the UK ones.
Yeah.
So there may be some differences there
Right.
with
Okay.
the mandatory classifications.
And I guess, of course, that the UK government would have made their required amendments
Yeah.
to our classification codes.
Yeah. So
as
there are forums every now and then where
Yeah.
scientists get together and say, we should change the mandatory classification for this. They'll have a consultation.
Right.
They'll
Okay.
talk about the effects of what they're trying to do, and then eventually they'll decide whether to change it or whether to
Okay.
keep it the same.
Well, that's interesting. So I didn't realize that. So it's actually driven by chemists who
Yeah.
would drive the changes in those classifications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people with
kinda
a
makes
lot of
sense.
knowledge about
Yeah.
the chemical industry. Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. Anything else in terms of misunderstandings with safety data sheets?
Yeah. So different countries. If you are importing into a different country,
Yeah.
you need to have a safety data sheet for their country. Okay, so let's say you're a supplier in the UK
Yeah.
sending a hazardous chemical to the USA.
Yeah.
You need to be able to reproduce a
And US.
United States version of
Wow.
that safety data sheet
Yeah.
that will be in compliance with the OSHA regulations.
Right.
So occupational safety and I can't remember the acronym. Safety
Yeah.
Health Association,
Association.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't actually know that. I think that's something you told
Yeah,
me before. I think a customer had given me a safety data sheet, and it was in an American format
yeah,
actually. So
yeah. So
I,
you would have the right to request a jurisdictional compliant
version,
SDS. Yeah.
yeah,
So if you're importing it to a different country, you need to make sure that you are providing a safety data sheet that is compliant with
client,
that country's regulations.
yeah. I think that's a really important message for
Yeah,
everybody to understand, especially if you're buying and selling stuff. They have to understand that they need to comply with the jurisdiction that they are going to, and they
yeah,
should be receiving goods that have a safety data sheet that is compliant with the region that they're sitting in as well.
yeah,
So I think that's really important. Now, obviously, in dangerous goods, we actually use the safety data sheet a lot, and I hear people always talking about Section 14 of the safety data sheet, which of course is the bit that says this item is dangerous for transport.
yeah.
Now, obviously there are 16 sections, and section 14 is one of those. What other sections should we be looking at to get information about the type of chemical that we're moving from A to B?
Yeah, so section one of any safety data sheet is always your product identifier.
Yeah.
So if you have any associated names for your product, if it's, for example, a substance, let's say use methanol as
Oh
an
yeah,
example.
love a bit of
You
methanol.
Yeah, you would have the product name, so you might have a trade name like Craig's Methanol, and then you would have the chemical name as well. So you might have a
Yeah.
IUPAC name on there,
Okay.
which is the standard way of naming chemicals.
Yeah.
And yeah, so section one is all about your product identifier,
Okay.
and
So
it will
section
also
one.
contain contact information for the manufacturer as well. And then section two,
Actually, just talking about
yeah,
that, that's the 24-hour emergency telephone number.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can actually hire other companies to be your 24-hour emergency telephone number,
Yeah.
as you can do in the dangerous goods industry as well,
Yeah.
with transportation. So that kind of information would be in section two. I
Yeah.
know I said section one a minute ago, but
Yeah.
section one is the product identifier. I
Yeah.
got a bit confused.
Okay.
Okay. Section two is your identification. So the manufacturer
Right.
would be
Okay.
in there. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And then section three would be all about your composition. So what is
Okay.
actually in your product? Is it 100% of the substance? In
Yeah.
which case you would give the CAS number. You would say
Oh, yes.
100%.
I've seen the CAS numbers,
Yeah.
and we're able to look up the CAS numbers, aren't we?
Yes.
I know that I've done it on the European website. I'm assuming there must be a UK Reach website where I could look up that CAS number.
So I believe if you go to the government website for HSE, you can search the CAS number, and you'll be able
Okay.
to find whether there are any mandatory classifications for it.
Okay.
And there may be some registered dossiers as well, telling you a lot more information about the
Chemical.
chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, does it also flag in there if the chemical is dangerous?
So the there is no real flag to say that something is dangerous for transport. The
Right.
only way you would know that is by looking at section 14,
Yeah.
because there are a
Yeah.
few hazard pictograms that kind of do classify something as dangerous goods, but also in some circumstances don't.
Yeah.
So you may be familiar with the corrosive diamond.
Yes,
Okay,
of course. Yeah.
so that would be on the back of, let's say, a bottle of bleach.
Yeah.
But that corrosive diamond is also on the back of some cement packages. Okay,
Right.
so
Okay.
cement is not corrosive to your skin
Yeah.
or any metals or anything. Okay, that is only causing serious damage to your eyes, which also requires the same
Okay.
pictogram, but
Right.
it doesn't require a transport classification.
Okay. So the GHS pictograms are there really for consumers
Yeah.
to advise them, red flag,
Yeah.
that this could potentially be harmful to you, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily dangerous for transport.
Yeah.
So therefore, we always have to check section 14
Yeah.
to get that clarification. Are there any other sections within the safety data sheet that we should be taking care of when we're shipping or storing chemicals?
Yeah, so handling and storage, I believe, is section 7. So
Yeah.
that'll tell you all about how you need to handle the dangerous goods, where you need to store them, tell
Yeah.
you about segregation requirements. So, for example, keep flammables away from oxidizers.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is
Yeah.
common sense, but
Yeah.
uh, they do list it all in section
Yeah.
7.
And that's really important, I guess, for warehouse planning as well, because you can
Yeah,
put the right firefighting or the right reactive equipment
yeah. So
near that
firefighting
solution.
information will be in section 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So we've got section 1, which is our product
yep,
identifier, section 2, which is our manufacturer, and
yep.
our 24-hour emergency response. What did you say section 5 was?
Section 5 is your firefighting measures.
Firefighting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Section 4 is your first aid, another very important
Oh,
one. So that comes
yeah.
after your composition in section 3.
So if we do
Okay.
spill it on our hands, at
Yeah.
least then we know how to react to that.
Yeah, usually it will just say something along the lines of seek medical attention, do not induce vomiting,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And of
It'll be
course, then storage and handling, section 7, you mentioned. Anything else that we,
Yeah.
as moving or storing that we should really take care of?
So moving or storing, accidental release is another important one. That's in section 6.
Okay.
So if you have a spillage, for example, it tells you what to do, whether you need to use absorbent materials, which absorbent materials you need to use,
Okay. So
who you should contact in the event of a spillage.
yeah. So I must admit that's not a section that I've really had a look
Yeah.
into. But if I was a warehouse and I was storing those, then that would be
Yeah.
really important.
Very important section, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. Now, what advice would you give the listeners regarding safety data sheets and the compliance of safety data sheets?
Okay, so if you are a company manufacturing dangerous goods, not just dangerous goods, but hazardous goods.
Yeah.
Okay, so not necessarily dangerous to transport, but if it is hazardous to your health, the environment, or property, then I would say safety data sheets are so important. Okay, not only for safety compliance,
Yeah.
but from a legal standpoint as well.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you're protecting everybody downstream who is using your product.
Yeah.
It's a duty, really.
Yeah. It's a duty of
Yeah,
care.
it's a
So it
duty of
kind of
care.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we're creating safety data sheets. It's very important that they're compliant with the regulations.
Yeah.
It's very important that we're getting all the relevant information in there
Yeah.
that we need.
So we've got to have access to them. They have
Yeah.
to be compliant. One of the things that I'm going to tell you this, I did an audit several years ago, and the safety data sheet was 20 years old,
Oof.
and I was a bit taken aback.
Yeah.
So I did some research on that particular product, and 20 years ago, that product was not identified as being dangerous,
Yeah.
but it was identified as being dangerous now. So how should the businesses assess, how frequently they should look at safety
Yeah.
data sheets?
Good question. So most of the time, if you have a safety data sheet that is 2 years or older, you can request an updated version
Okay.
because the regulations and classifications, as you've mentioned, do change quite
Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah.
So it is important that we keep them up to date. When I was working with LGC, who were the people I made the safety data sheets for,
Yeah.
they did a lot of we did a lot of safety data sheets because they had a lot of products that they needed to send out,
Yeah.
and we updated those every 2 years.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very important that they're periodically updated.
So probably each manufacturer will have a cycle where they will
Yeah.
reissue a
Yeah, so
refreshed or
sometimes
revised.
it'll be based on customer orders as well. So if a customer's not ordered something in 6 months,
Yeah.
then obviously that's going to go to the bottom of the pile of
of upgrades.
rejuvenation. What's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for?
Revision.
Revision. There we go. Yeah, that is the actual word. Yeah, because you will have the revision number
Yeah.
on the top of the safety data sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would make revisions every couple of years. Usually, if you're not selling that product actively, you
Yeah.
would wait until you actually have an order and you need to send out that safety data sheet.
Right.
Okay, but if
Yeah, because it's a big task, I would
Yeah,
imagine,
it is
if
a
you've
very
got a lot
big
of
task, yeah.
chemicals too.
there were tens and tens of hundreds of thousands actually of different products
Wow.
that LGC sold.
Yeah.
So it was a very big task.
Yeah.
And updating those is extremely hard sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when you're low on manpower
Yeah.
or woman power.
Well, yes, it could be
Yeah.
woman power, of course. All right, excellent. Well, that's really interesting, Craig. Thank you very much for telling
You're
us
very
all about
welcome.
safety data sheets. I learnt a lot there, and I'm sure our listeners would have learnt a lot there too. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Pleasure.
Okay.
So, as you know, I've been looking at AI for helping our business. And today I asked Copilot, who is UNECE? And its response was, and I'm going to read this to you. The UNECE is the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. It's an intergovernmental body established in 1947 to promote economic cooperation, integration, and shared standards across Europe and its neighbouring regions. I didn't know this, but the UNECE is a branch of the UN Economic and Social Council called ECOSOC. And ECOSOC actually brings together 56 states, including North America, Kazakhstan, Israel, Canada. And the mission is to strengthen those economic relationships. Some of the things that they actually do is, obviously, anybody involved in my world understands the UNECE from the Transport of Dangerous Goods regulations because they publish the ADR. But they're also involved just in trade in general, energy and environmental impacts, but also the collection of international statistics as well. And there are lots of other roles that they do. So it was really interesting to find out a bit more about the UNECE. So I recommend that you put that into AI to learn a bit more about them. So, if you want to come and talk to us about what's happening in your world of moving cargo or freight forwarding, aviation security, customs and excise, or dangerous goods, reach out to us to be a guest on our podcast. Particularly interested in talking to regulators or anybody that has had maybe incidents or accidents and what they learn about those particular situations. It's always really good to talk about real life lessons and what we learned along the way, because at the end of the day, it's those lessons that drive the changes to legislation that we see. Coming up in the next episode, we will be seeing Kevin Doherty from Air Sea Containers, who is going to talk to us about dangerous goods packaging. But for now, I want you to be safe, stay compliant, and keep smiling.